The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
Hello and welcome to On Cue. I'm your host, Eric Olson. Well, if you have a young person interested in acting, stay with us today. Susan Hanson tells us about a great new program called Teen Scenes. Also, John Gray from the Vision 2020 Gateway to Austin Committee will update us on the bridges and roads entering the city. And to start the show, Todd Shea from the National Weather Service is going to tell us how you can become a storm spotter. On Cue is next.
From KSMQ Television in Austin, this is On Cue, connecting interesting issues and interesting people. On Cue.
Well, we've been eagerly waiting for spring's arrival to bring us warmer weather, but the change of seasons also brings our part of the country into storm season. And Todd Shea, warning coordinator meteorologist for the National Weather Service, joins me now to talk about the hazardous but important job of storm spotting. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
And storm spotter, that's a term that means something to the Weather Service. Talk a little bit about what that person would do.
Yeah, storm spotters are basically volunteers for us in most cases, and they're the eyes, if you will, of the National Weather Service. They report real-time weather back to us at the National Weather Service, and then we use that information in cooperation with what we're seeing on radar and what we kind of expect to happen on that day, and that goes into the warning process. So it basically makes the warnings more accurate and timely because we know exactly what is occurring. And then you put all that together, it could potentially save a life when we know that there's something occurring and we can pass that on to the people that are in harm's way.
So it's not just computers and the experts like yourself. You still rely to some extent on folks in the field.
Yeah, that's correct. The technology is great, you know, the radar and things like that, but you're seeing things from a distance, and you're always making some assumptions of what is actually going on with that storm. So you're right, it just basically comes down to people telling us how large the hail they're observing is, how strong the wind gusts, or if they're actually witnessing a tornado that's made contact with the ground. And then we get that confirmation, and it just makes our job trying to alert the public that much easier.
Now, you're based in La Crosse, Wisconsin, but you cover a larger area, including our region.
Right. We cover a group of counties, a section of southeast Minnesota, but we also go into northeast Iowa and parts of western Wisconsin. But then there are other National Weather Service offices, for example, in Minnesota, that have their own area as well. The Twin Cities, the Sioux Falls office, there's one up in Duluth and one over in Grand Forks.
We have some videos, and while you get that set up, just to let you know, folks, that you can check the National Weather Service website, because throughout the summer months, Todd and his team, you have like classes, workshops, where if you are interested in becoming a storm spotter, you can go there. And do you get certified, or is it just to learn?
It's basically just, for some people it's refresher training, but for the newcomers, we go over what kind of information we're looking for in the National Weather Service, how to report to us, and just kind of give them enough education on it so that when you're actually out there looking at a thunderstorm, you have a better idea of what you expect it to do.
So do they email you things or call you, or do you call them? How do you communicate?
It's calling in most cases, but we also have amateur radio operators that let us know what they're witnessing out there, and we can talk to them in real time at our office in a lot of cases. Or it might be fire departments or law enforcement that report back to the dispatch center in each county, and that in turn gets passed on to us. The other new thing about that is social media, as you know, is becoming a newer technology out there, and so we're also incorporating people sending a Twitter message or posting on Facebook that they had damage, and seeing how we can utilize that information as well.
But you take it from the people you know, so it's not just somebody feeding you bogus information.
Correct. If it is the general public or people we don't know, we try to get other information as well from other known people, known spotters out there, so that we don't get thrown astray like that. You're right.
You have some severe weather to show us. Why don't you take her away? You've got the first video, I think, is hail. Are we going to see that?
Yeah, this is some of the types of videos that we show our storm spotters. And for example, this large hail case here is certainly severe hail, but it's one of the elements that we like spotters to report to us. We ask them to tell us how large the hail is. They can also tell us by comparing it to coins, or in this case, baseball-size hail. But we try to get that information so that we know what type of hail that storm is producing.
So that's hail.
Right.
And next up is, I've heard the term used many times, a wall cloud, but I don't really know what it means.
So a wall cloud image like this is the other type of training or video we show. And this particular video was shot in 2013 over in Winona, Minnesota, by a gentleman named Joe Meyer, was nice enough to let us use it. But this kind of lowering, this isolated lowering that you see kind of hanging there.
Oh, that's not a picture, that's video.
It is video, but it's not changing very quickly here.
Yeah, okay.
And this lowering you kind of see in the middle of the shot there is something called a wall cloud. And if a wall cloud actually persists and starts to rotate, and this one does start rotating later on in the video, a lot of times those are precursors to tornadoes. So what we try to do with our storm spotters is tell them where to look for wall clouds, and then tell them that if they see something persistent like that that's rotating, watch for tornado development. And later on, it actually produced a tornado over the river. See some of the spray there.
Sure, touchdown.
And crossed the Mississippi River and then went on into Wisconsin. And then, of course, we also at the spotter training can't forget the tornado. So this is another example of a video here. As a third example here, a large tornado that hit Alabama in 2011. So this would be kind of the higher extreme that we don't have a huge history of around here, but it can happen. For example, in 2010 here in southern Minnesota, we had tornadoes hit the Freeborn County area and several other regions around the state of Minnesota that created similar like damage like this, but it didn't hit a big population area, but it does devastation to farms and things like that. So we definitely want the storm spotters to be able to detect not only the cloud formations, but confirm for us that there is a tornado going on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And also, thanks for those videos.
Yep.
And I also assume that there's a bit of safety that you might want to pass on to them, like how far away to be, so you don't become a casualty.
Yeah, and that is an element of what goes into our training too, safety, because we want to make sure that they don't put themselves in harm's way, and make sure they realize that it's especially dangerous at night because they can't see some of these features as well and might get themselves in a bad situation. You also let them know some tricks out there during the night, like lightning strikes and stuff can actually backlight sometimes a tornado for you. So there's subtle things that we try to teach them so that they do stay safe, certainly.
And how do you interface with law enforcement during storms like this?
Typically what we do is we try to call a county dispatch center and give them heads up before severe weather strikes the county or as it moves in. And then during the severe thunderstorm activity, we are either calling them or they're calling us. Usually we work through the dispatch centers. And they're reporting to us what they're witnessing in their county. So if a sheriff deputy sees something, they radio it in, and then we talk to it, usually on phone, to that particular county. We do have a 800 megahertz, or a really nice radio system here that the law enforcement use, called the Armor system.
Oh, right, it's going in statewide,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, and we're actually able to tie into that from the National Weather Service and talk directly with some fire departments and county governments in addition to the state government, so that we can communicate better in times of severe weather like that.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and you can help people by being a spotter. So
You're right, yep.
They can meet you at various locations in our region if you're watching us right now. So go to your website. Is that where you have the dates on your training?
Yep. You can do a search for the National Weather Service in La Crosse or Twin Cities and see the latest training dates out there. Typically it's done in March and April, but every year we're out here hitting different counties, and sometimes we're doing it online too with webinars, so there's a lot of different opportunities for people. Yep.
Wonderful. Todd Shea, thanks for your service and thanks for being here.
Yep, well, thank you.
Very interesting discussion. Stay with us now. Susan Hanson and Teen Scenes. That's coming up next.
You can watch On Cue anytime by visiting the KSMQ TV website, ksmq.org.
Welcome back to On Cue. Hey, a lot of off-season and summertime theater opportunities for young people in Austin. We know that's been the case always, but there are a lot more of them available this summer thanks to Susan Hanson and her new entree into the theater scene with Teen Scenes is what you're calling it.
Yes.
And as I understand it, first of all, welcome to On Cue.
Thank you.
And as I understand it, it's your idea to get more young people involved in some way. If they can't even be in a show, they can experience the theater some other way. Tell me about your concept.
Yes, well, we've had Matchbox Children's Theater in Austin. This is our 40th anniversary, so it's very exciting. It's been around for a long time, great longevity. But it tends to be children's theater aimed for younger children, and then kids kind of move into that high school group, and some kids start doing the college theater, and there doesn't seem to be a real transition from children's theater to a little more mature theater. And sometimes the theater in the summer, there aren't a lot of roles for kids. So we decided we needed to bridge the gap. So we took a year coming up with this concept, and this is our first year for Teen Scenes for actors from about age 12 to 20.
So this is, as opposed to, as I understand, a show where children are in it and adults come to see it, you are putting children or younger people and giving them a mature theater opportunity.
Yeah, scenes that they might be able to relate to more, a little more believable, two-person scenes where they can really act and have some emotion and some reality in it. And they'll get to work with two other actors, and so they'll get to do 3 scenes each over the course of 3 months and work with the whole group as well. And then we're going to do a showcase, so they will get to perform on stage in front of an audience, which is really cool.
And it's not just one play, like it's one play and they're all doing scenes from it? Or
no, a whole variety of plays. Depending upon who we have, I have a whole library of everything from some classical work even. We had some students requesting to do some Shakespeare pieces, some comedy, some real dramatic parts, things that are closer to their age, things that have been written over the last 100 years maybe, and they'll all play a variety of characters. So maybe they'll get to play someone really strong and dramatic, and then maybe more of a comic part, and kind of really get to find out what they can do.
Do you like students who have had experience?
Yes and no. I love having new students. I have been teaching beginning acting for 9 years, and I teach every level of people who've been doing it any age. I also teach younger kids as well. So it doesn't really matter. If they have experience, great. If they don't, we will start from there. And I will pair them up with people, so it'll be really balanced. And also, we work in groups too. So we do some group work. We're going to do some improvisation. We also, with KSMQ, are going to be doing some camera work. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It is.
As I understand it, you're going to work with the young people and use your experience many years in Los Angeles doing television, acting, and commercials to show students the nuances, the difference of the acting craft as it relates to a camera?
Yes, it is a whole different technique. You know, the basics of acting are the same, what you're trying to get, your objective and everything, but technically there are things involved with hitting your mark and vocal qualities and a certain amount of really bringing it down for the camera and making it believable. Sometimes they're exposed to things on a particular maybe children's channel that might be really big acting, which would be sort of equivalent to children's theater, and then they might go to a film and see an actor being very real, and that's the difference that I want them to be able to try to do, to see what they can come up from inside.
I've never experienced it being in a studio or being part of a movie or anything. You have, but I've read a bit about it, and that people marvel at the wonderful actors. If you're looking at them filming their scene with the naked eye, just looking, you'd say, they didn't do anything.
It's pretty
that they're just sitting. I mean, like you couldn't even
subtle.
see the face move, but to the camera, it was an awesome thing. I don't, do you know what I'm talking about there?
Oh yeah, it's very subtle because it has to come from inside, and we kind of call that subtext, the things that you're thinking that come out without even saying it, whether it's from your eyes, from your smile, from a certain gesture, but it's very, very subtle.
So you're teaching how to channel that subtext, as you called it, and learn how to build your like gesturing and everything.
Sure,
for
everything. I mean, you can't gesture like this on camera.
Right.
Everything has to be a little bit more subtle. So how do we cross over those two things? And if anybody wants to go into performance, that is a skill that they just really need to have, because you can make money in front of a camera, doing commercials, doing other things, and if you don't know how to do that and you're interested in acting, it's just a skill you should know.
Right, so you don't have to say no when somebody asks you at an audition if you've ever done X.
Well, yes,
you
have some experience. You can just also, it's the way you hold yourself in front of a camera is different than the way you would on stage. If I have to perform to 400 people, I have to make sure my voice carries, my body gestures carry. I can't be as subtle as I could be on camera. So,
is it one teen scenes, or are you going to have numerous editions of it through the summer?
Well, we are starting this year. We're very excited. Our Matchbox season usually ends in the middle of April, and that's about the time that the schools start ending and people get really busy. So we're slowly starting a couple days in April, a couple days in May, and then June and July. By the end of July, Matchbox has their annual Children's Theater Camp, and most of the time we have younger actors involved in that, and the older actors kind of help out as counselors. And then they do get involved in the last production of the summer. A lot of the older students do, but there isn't really an opportunity for them to take a camp and learn something new before they're thrown into a show. So this is a chance to take that time. It's a workshop, it's a class, it's ongoing, it's over 3 months that you can look back and go, oh wow, look how far we've come.
That's what I was wondering. So it's not one group of young people this time, then the next month there's another bunch, they go through the summer.
There are 12 days scheduled for sure for scenes, plus some studio time, and then our final night of performances. Now, some people can't commit to that whole time, family vacations, other things, and that's okay. As long as you can commit to the group, we will try to work that out. So we have 12 sessions, generally on Tuesday evenings at Matchbox Children's Theater and a few other locations. But if someone knows they're going out of town, or they have a sport, or they have something, we can work around that. We can make some alternative days.
What are you hoping for a first year as far as numbers would you like to see?
I'm hoping we'll have at least 20. And again, this isn't just from Austin. Anybody from the surrounding schools, Albert Lee, anywhere else that would like to come that perhaps they don't offer a camp like that or an ongoing sort of training. 20 is a reasonable number. I'd be thrilled to see as many as possible. There's some great kids.
And they should call Matchbox
Children's Theater. Yes, we have an application online on our website at matchboxchildrenstheater.org. And also you can call 507-437-9078.
Say that one more time, please.
507-437-9078. Also, this has to be the most economical training you will find. It is only $30 per student for the whole 3 months.
That's wonderful. Well, we're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for telling us about your new idea. Very exciting.
Thank you.
And it's matchboxchildrenstheater.org. For more information, you can download a form right there, fill it out, or the phone number one more time, please.
507-437-9078.
Great. Thank you, Susan Hanson, Matchbox Children's Theater. Thank you. We will return with our weekly look at Vision 2020 when we come right back.
Queue up your own comments for On Cue and send them to us at onq@ksmq.org. On Cue's Vision 2020 segment is brought to you by Hormel Foundation, Games People Play, and Turtle Creek Estates.
And welcome back to On Cue. Time now for our Vision 2020 segment, our update, the Gateway to Austin Committee, and John Gray joins us. Welcome back.
Good morning.
You have some exciting plans to share with us about the Gateway to Austin, coming off that interstate and how it looks. How have you been doing? What's going on?
It's been busy since November of 2012 and gotten busier, but yes, it's really been exciting because we had been doing a lot of visioning for about a year since the kickoff, and it's fun and exciting to really start digging in and making decisions on what the I-90 corridor will look like.
And when you talked about the corridor, you talk about digging in.
Right.
Part of it is plants and shrubbery and so on. I never would have thought of that, but I guess that's an important feature of when you're coming into a city, what your first impression is.
Absolutely. If you go down the I-90 corridor from Oakland West all the way to the Country Club Bridge, it's boring. It truly is. So what we're trying to do is make that corridor more attractive to traffic and to visitors and make it more eye appealing. So yes, we're looking at two things. We're looking at updating and replacing bridges with the current design that we're putting in place, and also the landscaping theme along the whole I-90 corridor. So it's interesting.
And the local folks, a committee of folks really helped out the state planners as far as knowing this area, this part of this neck of the woods, if you will.
Absolutely, yeah. The city council approved in the summer of last year a committee of 8, which included county and city employees and then gateway representatives. And part of our makeup our committee, we included Randy Berg as part of our gateway, and he truly has been a great asset with MnDOT, trying to formulate which vegetation can survive winter months and salt and all those things, and landscaping when there's a steep slope. So he's been a great asset in that end. So we have developed a palette of vegetation that will be used on that I-90 corridor.
And the bridges, a kind of a general design has been agreed upon?
Yes. Yeah, no, what we're working on is it's called a Austin Visual Quality Manual. When we put all this palette of vegetation and the bridge design, which we've made a number of decisions there, all that will go on this manual and be permanent file with MnDOT. So whenever they do anything on that I-90 corridor, they refer to the manual and they have to follow that design scheme.
Okay, so replacing shrubbery or whatever it happens to be.
Correct. Or even installing, new, replacing, whatever. Yep, they have to follow this design manual that we put in place.
Now, before there was some talk, maybe when you were here before, about a big archway going over the freeway.
Correct.
That didn't quite pass muster.
No, it did not. In talking with MnDOT, and I could get into a long story though, but yes, it did not pass muster. It was just too complex, spendy, etc. So we've decided to build that archway concept into the 4th Street Bridge when it gets replaced in 2019, and the 14th Street Bridge is out by Riverland, so that archway design or look or feel will be built as part of the design into those bridges. So that's going into this quality manual, and it truly is exciting.
And next decisions, what's on your plate?
Well, the decisions that have been made so far are the design of the bridges. So anywhere from the pigment color to the brick, limestone color, the lighting, the railing, all of that has been decided on. And the width of the sidewalks, those are being extended so that they're more pedestrian bicyclist friendly. So they're going from 6 feet to 10 feet with a 2 feet safety buffer there. The things to be decided on, we'll be meeting again April 10th. So we'll be making some final decisions on the final push for the landscaping, some of the bridge work.
And signs, like what?
Yes, signage.
What will people see? What will they read when they come in?
Well, that's a 3rd segment of our Gateway to Austin, is to create directional signage for our visitors so they can get from here to there without having to stop at a gas station or whatever. So that we put in place. We're also looking at building a visitor center for that traffic, so they can come in and learn about Austin and get interested in Austin and either visit Austin when they're here or come back. So we want to create Austin as a destination point. So Yeah, that's an extension of this I-90 corridor. So, like I said, it's been busy and good.
Thank you for your service on this committee, John Gray. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome.
Wonderful. And that'll do us for this edition of On Cue. I'm Eric Olson. See you again real soon.
On Cue is a production of KSMQ Television in Austin, nonprofit public television.